Hey, welcome back to the podcast. This is Ryan Hicks, and it is Saturday as I'm recording this. Not quite sure when I'm going to publish this, but today I am going to talk about goals. I want to do a little bit different type of a podcast because, excuse me, I want to do a little bit different type of a podcast because as I get to travel around and meet awesome people, by the way, we are filming this. I hope I hit record on the video, but we are filming this for YouTube, and we've launched a YouTube segment, a video experience, I should say. And be sure to go over to YouTube and check that out. I'll put the link in the show notes. But as I travel around, I get to meet a lot of very, very awesome people for this podcast, for my business at Rallyo, and for all the different things that I do. I get to meet a lot of really awesome people. And two common themes that I always see with really great entrepreneurs. 2 days ago, I had Nick Friedman on the podcast. He is the co-founder of College Hunks Hauling Junk, and very successful guy. Just reflecting back and from week to week, all these awesome people that I'm meeting and learning from and all the rest, I see two themes. One, they always have a very, very strong ability to articulate their vision. And secondly, successful folks are always goal-driven. Most of the people listening to this podcast are goal-driven people, just by virtue of you taking the time to invest, to open up your eardrums and learn from other people. That shows that you're a goal-striving, goal-driven person, and that you're really kind of a step above the average folks. And so I get to meet all these really great people, and I see these two themes. And one of the sad realities I think that exists is if you look at from a global perspective, I've read the statistic, and I'll find where the statistic was and link to it, but 97% of people in this world do not set goals. 97 to actually maybe even a little bit more. And if you think about your employees and your loved ones and all the people on your team, you want the people around you to be goal-striving individuals. And if you go back and look at for example, the ancient Greeks had what they called the telos. There was this word called the telos, and the root of the word telos is what the study of teleology was about. The study of teleology is the study of meaning and purpose. And the word telos means ultimate object or aim. Think of it like a target. And so going back to some of the other roots of this concept, if you think of a telescope helps you see something that's far away. If you think of a telephone, you call someone, remember that word call, but you call someone that's far away from you, and you can hear them and speak to them and communicate with them. And that's why we say whenever we're living in our purpose, it's our calling. And so I think that whole, there's a lot of really neat things there. And so if you think about what really great companies do, great companies have missions and visions and values, and they're articulated well, and they build culture and people. It's so much more than just a business or just commerce. There's purpose behind it. And I think in today's world, we're living in a time, especially with these millennials and the Generation Y, people want to be a part of something much bigger. And that's actually, I almost retract my statement, because that's always been the case. People always want to be a part of something bigger. But my question for you is this. If it's the great function, or not great function, but if one of the great things that companies do or organizations do or even countries do is lay out a creed and a set of principles and values, mission, vision, values, why don't we as individuals have personal mission statements, personal visions, personal values? And I would venture to bet that probably 99 point something percent of people do not actually have written out mission, vision, values, goals, and then have plans on the back of those goals. And so I wanted to pose that question, why is that? And so obviously I've put a little bit of thought into these topics. And so what I'm going to be doing on this podcast is I want to launch a segment that is focused on not necessarily interviewing people, because we've done a lot of kind of very general, broad interviews, almost sometimes with no focus. But I want to laser focus a segment on this podcast and talk about specific goals, stretch goals that people have made and have figured out against all odds on how to go achieve those, and talk about what were the challenges that they faced in the process, what support did they get from the people around them. And what I want to do is start bringing some of those goals and some of those stories to the forefront. And then over time, I want to layer in, I have a personal system that I use for my own goal setting process. And I want to kind of layer in and start showing a little bit of how I go about it. And I'm absolutely not perfect. And I've taken an aspect from different gurus and books. I've read over hundreds and hundreds of books. And so I have aspects. It's nothing that I necessarily created, but I organized it in a way that I think that other people will enjoy. And so this kind of goal segment, or this goal focused content that I want to start creating, I'll start layering some of that in. And I actually have a buddy of mine that has built a platform. We're not launching it yet. I have partnered with him. This is a very much kind of a Saturday project. I'm recording this here on a Saturday. I don't know when I'll actually publish it, but he and I are going to be launching this and kind of taking that methodology and system and template to the world. And there'll actually be opportunities for other members to kind of join this community that we already have amongst a close circle of our friends. And we're going to invite other people to accept memberships or join memberships. You'll get the perks of networking with other sharp-minded, high-level entrepreneurs and maybe folks that you should mentor. And so it'll be basically this community. And so this was something that was on my mind, on my heart, obviously, because we didn't really build this from the beginning to go launch, but it has come to pass that I think that it's time that we do that. And so I wanted to share that with the world, both here on the podcast and here on the video. I forgot that we were videoing. I'll put the link, as I mentioned, in the notes, and that's really all that I have today. I wanted to do this short little rant on goals because I think it's super, super important. It's critical, not only for you, but for the folks around you to be goal striving, constantly improving, and to have a fun balance of that, and to have the right balance of the right people around you is also critical. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. Cheers.
Welcome, I'm Ryan Hicks, and this is Modern Business, the podcast to learn from franchise business leaders and explore new business technology.